Hello, bonjour, bienvenidos, benvenuti. Welcome to the Polyglot channel. Today we're looking at Go by Cat Burns. I know that there are a million tutorials already, but for some reason everyone kind of goes off doing their own thing. What we are going to do is we're going to learn this so that you can play it exactly like she does. Let's have a look at that in a close-up. So let's start by talking about the verses. The first thing to notice is that we have a capo on the 2nd fret. Whenever we have a capo, we take the capo as fret 0 and we start counting from there, right? So if we say fret 7, for example, which we will, we start counting from the capo, and that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that will be fret 7. Okay, which is actually where your first chord is. So go all the way up to fret 7, which if you have dots is going to be your 1st, 2nd, 3rd, your 4th dot on the top of your guitar there. You can use those to navigate. And you're going to place your index there. So let's talk about that index. That index is going to be playing all the bass notes, and it's always going to be on the A string. So it's never going to leave that string. We just need to keep tabs as to where it needs to go, okay? And it's always going to be the index. And we only have one other finger involved on the left hand, and that's going to be your ring finger. So that's finger 3, 1, 2, 3. Your ring finger is going to be the only other one that you'll need. And that one is going to be on the 2nd string. That's the B string. And it's never going to leave that 2nd string. So we have basically those two fingers glued to the 2nd string and the 5th string. Okay. And on top of that, we're always going to be playing the 3rd string, i.e. the G string, open. Okay, so that's going to ring out open. Let's talk about the right hand briefly. This is finger picked, and for the finger picking pattern we're going to be using 3 fingers: the thumb, the index, and the middle finger. The thumb is always going to play the bass note. So again, that thumb is going to be glued to the 5th string. That's the A string. Your index is always going to be playing the open G, and your middle finger is always going to be playing the 2nd string. Okay, so those are the 3 notes that you're going to be playing, the 3 strings rather, that you're going to be playing throughout the song, always with the same 3 fingers. Let me play you that first picking pattern that we use in the verses so that you see what's going on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slow. Slower still. Okay, so let's talk about the chords first. Chord number 1. I already told you that we need to be on the 7th fret. So your index is going to be on the 7th fret of the A string, and your ring finger, that we know is going to be glued to the 2nd string. It's going to be on the 8th fret from the capo. So that's 1 fret further up from where your index is. And this is important to bear in mind because this is going to be a very common shape throughout the whole song that we'll play in different places. This is, by the way, a minor shape because that interval and that one, that's a minor third, although it's an octave higher, but that's a minor third apart, which is the definition for a minor chord. So this is, I'll refer to this as a minor shape. In this case, we're playing an E minor chord, right? And this is the minor shape on the 7th fret, and this is where we start. So that's chord number 1. Chord number 2. For chord number 2, the index needs to go down 2 frets, and the ring finger is going to come down only 1 fret. So now notice how between your index and your ring finger, you have 2 frets between those two. You have an empty fret in between. This is a major shape, and that's because that bass note to that high note, that's a third apart. Well, they're actually a tenth apart, but it's a major third, which is the definition of a major chord. So chord number 1 was that, minor, E. Chord number 2, that, which makes it a type of D major chord with an added fourth. Chord number 3 will be the minor shape. Remember that? We talked about that minor shape just a second ago. Now on the 2nd fret, this will make it a B minor. And chord number 4 is going to be the major shape, going up 1 fret from the 2nd to the 3rd, which makes this a C major chord. So recap, E minor to D major, all the way down to B minor, and up to C major. And notice how all the way through, we're going to be hearing that open G string as a sort of pedal point, is how you call these things. Now let's briefly talk about the rhythm. The rhythm goes like this. I'll count it for you so that you can hear what's going on. So the beat will be here. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the rhythm. 1 and up and 3 and 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 just the rhythm. 1 and up and 3 and 1 and up and 3 and 1 and up and 3 and 1 and up and 3 and. And I'm sure that you've noticed on my right hand, the pattern is super simple in that it's always in the same order. Thumb, index, middle. Right? And you have 2 groups of 3. The first one, 1 and up. That's going to be thumb, index, middle. And the second group, and 3 and, which is also going to be thumb, index, middle. Okay? Now, one thing that you might have noticed that I do and that she does as well most of the time when she plays live, you can't hear it so much on the studio version, and that's because it's quite a noisy thing. I'm talking about this, right? That slight tap on the 2nd and 4th beats. Check it out. 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and a 2 and 3 and. Right, so what that does is it gives it a groove, because we don't really have a beat behind this part, so that little tap helps the groove push through. Now, do you need to have that? Not really, especially because it's kind of makes it a little bit more complicated. It's technically harder because also, you have there's a different thing involved in the slapping or the tapping there. So, do you need it? No, it's perfectly fine if you go. Right, that's absolutely fine, and actually that's the way it sounds on the record. Now, because I'm showing you how she plays it live, that's where the tapping gets involved. If you want to give it a go, by all means, do so. Now, let's move on to what happens in the choruses. Hey, remember that if you want the tabs and sheet music for this, all of that and more is available to all my Patreons. Link in the description below. Cool. All right, so we've done the hard bit. The choruses are actually very simple. Same ideas in terms of the fingers on both hands. 4 chords. Chord number 1, C major. That's your major shape on the 3rd fret. Except that this time we'll pluck all 3 strings at the same time. Chord number 2 is the E minor. So that's the minor shape on the 7th fret. Chord number 3 is the D major, which was fret 5 and the major shape. And chord number 4 is the B minor, 2nd fret minor shape. And we're plucking all 3 strings at the same time. The only thing that we really have to be careful about here is to keep perfect time, right? It's a whole bar on each, and we have to be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 bars on the B minor. Now, one thing that you can do that she does sometimes, and that you also hear on the studio version, is you can break up the chords. It doesn't need to be a specific rhythm, just instead of plucking them all 3 at the same time, you can sort of do a quick arpeggio. Which is quite nice, you know, and it gives the whole thing more of a flow. And hey, that's it. The only little part left to look at is the bridge, which is also what she plays as an intro when she plays this live. Let's have a look at that. So here it is, check it out. 3, 4. And again, slow, 4. 2, 3. There we have it. Okay, so here we have some chords that we haven't played before, but they're all the same shape, so nice and easy. We start off on that E minor, which, remember, it's the 7th fret minor shape. And then we're going to go up 1 tone, which on our guitars is 2 frets, with exactly the same shape, which will make this an F sharp minor chord with a pesky kind of flat 9, which is really cool. But anyway, so we're just going up 2 frets with the same minor shape, then up a semitone, which is 1 fret to a major shape, which would be a G major, and then all the way back to the B minor shape, 2nd fret, and then up to the C, 3rd fret, major shape. Okay. And in terms of the timing, the harmonic rhythm, which is how often the chords change, is different. We have a chord change on every beat like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and again 4, 1, 2. So see, on every beat, and we hold the whole bar on that C major. Rather, we hold that C major throughout the whole bar when we get there. And that's the only thing. Again, you can play it as all 3 at the same time, or you can break up the chord in quick arpeggi, which I personally like better, but you know, it doesn't offend me if if I hear all 3 at the same time. Sounds quite cool, especially if you have those 3 notes ringing out at the sort of same volume, same level. Hey, and that's it. There we have it. If that was useful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments below. I read and reply to all of them. Thank you for staying till the end. And see you next time. Hasta la próxima. Arrivederci. Au revoir.